皆さんこんにちは、香川博です。ご存知の本を書いたりするときは山癖洋二という名前も使ってますのでよろしくお願いします。今日はですね、私の友人のアンドリュー・ロビンスさん、もともとですね、アメリカでシステムエンジニアとしても活躍し、ハーバードでですね、いろいろとですね、そういうコンピュータ関係のことを勉強されて、それを教育現場に生かそうということで、日本にももう長年滞在していた彼がですね、今回はワシントン DC からインタビューに応じてくれました。最近はね、こんな本もね、一緒に書いたりして、AI の将来とかね、そういうことも一緒にこうやってもらったりもしたんですね。で、さて、今回はね、この AI とは関係があるようでない、ブロックチェーン、ブロックチェーンのね、ことについて、特に仮想通貨とかね、今話題になってますよね。でも、一体何なんだろうとわからない方も多いと思うので、今後の見通しとか、実はこのブロックチェーンがもたらす大きな社会変革とか、そういうことについて分かりやすくですね、解説してもらうためにインタビューしてみました。ぜひね、楽しんでみてください。字幕もついてますしね、英語はね、できるだけ分かりやすくしてますけど、これからのね、学習とか将来のためにはね、必要な技術、そういうところでのいろんなタームがたくさん入ってます。じゃあ、ぜひ聞いてみてください。
Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Hiroshi, how are you?
Hey. Yeah, fine. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Great, great. Well, today let's discuss about the blockchain,
Okay.
right? First of all, this term of the blockchain is really interesting term. Why it said something like that?
Well, the blockchain, yeah, it is a bunch of blocks chained together. So what that means, well, let's talk about a block first, or what the blockchain really is. So imagine a bank. A bank has a big database of assets and transactions, right?
Sure.
But it's controlled by a bank, this one central entity. The blockchain aims to decentralize this concept. So instead of having one central authority, basically anybody can participate in this gigantic network. So the blockchain essentially is it's a distributed database of assets and transactions. So why is it called a blockchain? So in the case of, let's say, Bitcoin, approximately Bitcoin uses the blockchain. Right. So approximately every 10 minutes, a block is formed, and inside this block is a long list of all of these transactions that have taken place during this time. And so when the block is decided, it gets chained together with all of the previous blocks using cryptography. So why is this important? It means that it is computationally difficult, almost impossible, to forge a transaction on this in this database. So you can't lie. So if I have a bank, I can go into the database. If I have the right access, I could go into the database and I could change the money in your account. I could change it from whatever it is to zero. And you could say, no, that's not right. I didn't have that. And I could say, well, I'm the bank. I know that this is what it is. So sorry. With the blockchain, you can't do that.
That's good.
Well, it's very good, yeah.
For example, if I owe the money from the bank, and because of that kind of a threat from the bank, then if bank want to block my account, it's a big issue. But maybe this is really impossible in this case.
That's right. And so that's one of the most powerful features of the blockchain. So it enables people who have not had access to things like banks to have access to value, to have access to different kinds of assets, to have access to money. There are a lot of people in the world that cannot use banks. They're simply not allowed because they don't have the funds. But with blockchain, they can all use blockchain.
And then, that is why. But I have a big question. This world is now divided by two. It's not a good idea or bad idea. Maybe future knows, but like a country like China, for example, who want to control everything from the big government.
Right.
Or like the United States, many people hate to be controlled by the big authority.
Sure.
Blockchain can be a good for that kind of a latter part of the country or category of the people. But maybe some country hate to have or lose such kind of power to control people, because if blockchain is, how can I say, widespread.
That's true. It has its advantages and disadvantages for governments.
And then typical case is like cryptocurrencies. I mean, of course, the most important power of the government is issue the kind of money and control the economy from their point of view.
That's right.
And even including the tax issue or whatever it is, now if I want to protest something, okay, I want to protest something because of the usage of tax, is not how can I say, acceptable for me.
Okay.
Then I say that I don't want to pay this tax particularly, but that case automatically government can block my all account and drag me to the court.
That's right. That's right.
So
with cryptocurrencies, depending on the cryptocurrencies, yes, it's possible to avoid government scrutiny. It's possible to get around the government watching you. I should say that it's important to obey the law and it's important to pay taxes, but there are of course ways around that. I want to move the conversation beyond just taxes and cryptocurrency, because blockchain has applications elsewhere. So think about real estate, right? So in many countries, when you have a piece of land, you have the deed to the land. So you have basically a piece of paper that says, I own this land, right? Now, let's say you live in a dictatorship and the dictator says, well, yeah, no, but that paper, I don't believe it. I say that I own the land. So sorry, you can't have this land anymore. You have to get out. With real estate on the blockchain, there is proof that goes all the way back. Who owned it when it was transferred to the next person. So nobody can come in and say, no, that's not true. There's a way to verify that, verify ownership.
It is difficult to twist like
it is
cyber something like that.
It is practically impossible. There are basically, you need to have more. In some cases, you need to have 51% of the computational power of the network. And to have 51% of the computational power of something like Bitcoin, I can't imagine how many specialized devices you would need to achieve that. It would cost billions of dollars, I think.
So how can government or such kind of authority can compromise with this kind of typical freedom activity?
Okay. Well, it depends on the government. If the government is a dictatorship, they can't. It's difficult to compromise. If it's a government that is working for the good of the people, I think there are some very good compromises. It makes things a lot easier for people. It streamlines a lot of processes. In terms of, we'll go back to cryptocurrency. In terms of cryptocurrency, the government, they cannot alter the blockchain itself, but they can regulate the exchanges where you buy and sell cryptocurrency. And through that, which they are actively doing, through that, they're able to know who is supposed to be taxed at what percent and things like that.
Sure. But that's case, for example, in case of Japan, my country, of course, it looks like a really democratic country. Of course, I can criticize my government without any problem or any threat. No problem. However, there are another fact. There are government want to control people also. Typical case is like even a kind of a, how can I say, license number, so any insurance number, whatever it is, or by using some kind of, again, that's a kind of tax office or whatever, and then of course they need to control people because they're a crime also. They need to control the people because of sometimes people neglect the kids to get the educations. But on the other hand, there are another threat. If government misuse it, it's big threat for the public.
Right.
So cryptocurrency might be blockchain's idea is really difficult for the bureaucrats to understand that case.
Yes. Yes, it does involve relinquishing a certain amount of control, but that doesn't mean that they have no control, right? They can make policies and regulations. They can work with these systems. In a lot of cases, these systems do more give governments more benefits than they take away from the governments. But it's a new technology, and people are still trying to figure out how to integrate it into society.
Well, it is interesting because it is, opening the kind of a door of the new era, just like a French Revolution or something like that in the past. Kind of a total dimension of the society will be changed if, such kind of concept is installed in the public in the daily life.
I wouldn't say if, I would say when. I think it's a guarantee. In 2008, we just learned about about Bitcoin and blockchain through the paper written by Satoshi Nakamoto, not a real name, but it's all very, very new, and people are still trying to figure out how this fits into society. But it seems clear that it does fit into society, and that this is going to be revolutionary for both for the internet and for humankind.
But anytime when kind of revolution happens, of course, always blood and might happens. And how about that? Because maybe some people start talking about this kind of a society, and some people want to control it. How about that?
Well, you've seen some governments take very strict controls. We've seen China do some very interesting things with regard to cryptocurrency. They banned it and unbanned it many times. I think they're still grappling with how it's going to fit into Chinese society. Other governments like El Salvador have wholly embraced it. And there are other governments. I can't remember if it's Singapore. I'm not sure, but there's some governments that don't even tax it because they want to welcome this new era.
Interesting. So we do need a lot of flexibility. So that's case, who's gonna be a winner of this kind of new era? Last question, that's how it is reflected upon the kind of AI development in accordance with a kind of blockchain. Are there any kind of link, or are there any kind of coexistence, or what can I say? What can I consider about it? How?
That's a very good question. I know that some people in the cryptocurrency industry use AI to examine the blockchain to try and detect fraud and things like that. I don't have any specific examples of how AI and blockchain are used to achieve some specific purpose. But ChatGPT and generative AI, that's very new to most people. Again, blockchain is still in its infancy. So I think we're going to see some very interesting developments, some very interesting projects going forward.
Yeah, because people need to understand the concept of blockchain is different from the concept of the AI. However,
that's right.
Both are linked with the concept of database, I believe.
It depends. Yeah, you're not wrong. So some cases of AI, specifically generative AI, which makes use of massive data sets, that's a good point. And then blockchain is a type of data set. It's more a record of transactions, but that is mineable data to a certain extent. They're certainly related, and I think we're going to see interesting relationships between the two coming out in the near future. But I can't say what that is yet.
You said the future, like what kind of span of the time?
Oh, I would say within just a few years. I mean, could be somebody could come out with something tomorrow. But again, people are still figuring out how to embrace blockchain. So while I'm sure there are many labs and many researchers developing interesting and viable projects, I don't know if they will be mainstream projects for at least a few more years.
Mainstream within a few more years. That's case, again, that's going back to the government issue. They need to be prepared to, how can I say, start into the new kind of era of the competitions.
Yeah, but what I've seen is that governments are becoming, not all of them, but many major governments are becoming more open to the idea of
Yes.
Bitcoin, of cryptocurrency, of blockchain-based projects. So I think we're moving in that direction.
Then, also maybe so-called globalization means like people can connect each other with this kind of concept without any boundary. And then on the other hand, there are kind of different kind of systems of government in the world. So this is a kind of quite interesting time.
It's a very interesting time. It's very exciting. I'm reading the news about this stuff every day because it's just I don't know how it's going to play out, but it is going to be interesting, and I think it will be to the benefit of most people.
Great. So anything else you want to talk about the blockchain?
I think we've covered the basics. I think that's pretty good. Yeah.
Good. All right, Andrew. Thank you for your education and information. That's great, helpful.
My pleasure. All right. Thanks,
All right.
Hiroshi.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.